I will never forget the helpline call I received. It was several years ago. And I could still share it with you verbatim because it had such an impact on me. Why? Because it was the first time in all my years working at the Alzheimer's Association that I ever received a phone call from someone actually diagnosed. I remember being nervous answering the call. Hi, I'm Bob. I'm 60 years old. I've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 2 weeks ago. I surrounded myself with family and friends because I thought I'd be depressed, and they all left me now, so I thought I should call you. I printed information off from the website about Alzheimer's disease, and before anyone sat to visit with me, they were instructed to read all about it. I've already put in for a 2-bedroom apartment because I know I'm going to need help someday. And I put up shelves in my living room so that I can find my things. So can you please tell me what time and where the nearest group is for people diagnosed like myself so that I can learn strategies and I can gain support for individuals just like me? I remember hanging up the phone, feeling defeated, and a failure. I had no group to send Bob to. I had a list of groups for family members and friends. I had a list for spouses, adult children, and even long-distance caregivers. But I didn't have one for Bob. And you know what? That didn't make sense. As an organization and as a society, we're encouraging people to get detected early. In fact, we even have a program called Know the 10 Signs, Early Detection Matters. Well, what I realized, what really matters is to support for the person diagnosed. When I hung up from the phone, I remember feeling nervous because I had never had experience working with people newly diagnosed. I had 20 years of experience in a nursing home. And I very seldom had the honor to work with somebody who could share their story. And I was frightened. It was definitely out of my comfort zone. And I remember knowing the facts. 5.5 million people diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. It's the 6th leading cause of death, and among the top 10 leading causes of death, there's no treatment, prevention. There's no way to slow it down. So how then was I going to have a successful group? I knew the facts here, and I knew the facts here. And I was supposed to have a social engagement program. But I remembered I needed to start that group. And I remember the first group I had, they named themselves GAP because they wanted to give Alzheimer's purpose. And I remember thinking, I have a lot to learn. You see, I was expecting to hear about the sadness, the struggles, the frustration, sadness. I was not prepared to witness the acceptance, the strength, the humor, the passion for life, and their need for purpose. If we think about the definition of stigma from Webster's dictionary, it's a negative, often unrealistic belief that society has about something. And there is still a stigma surrounding this disease. So I said to my group, the real experts, If you could write a slogan on a t-shirt to help me help you lessen the stigma, what would it be? I have Alzheimer's, and I'm working on it. I'm allowed to repeat because I can't. It's okay to cry. And it's not my fault. They're slogans of strength when they shared, sometimes it'll come around and I'll grab it, when they're losing their thoughts. And this one, my friend who was a race car driver up in Lime Rock, and he said, it's like this. Sometimes there's a muddy windshield, but then the rain comes and clears. The passion for life. On their t-shirt, they wanted to say, I'm still valuable. I'm still here. I'm Anne, and I'm here today. There's many strategies that we could read in the textbook. I was blessed to hear the strategies that they shared amongst each other. I will never forget, Jerry said to me, Carol, I'm starting to lose my words. I know I'm not saying things clearly. But you know what I decided? When I talk to my husband, and I know it's not the right word, but he knows what I mean, I've learned to say, it's good enough. And I'll never forget, through a poetry class we did, one of our members of our group has hallucinations. And she said, if you're frightened by a hallucination, if you look down and your dog lies sleeping, you know you're okay. And I said, wow, what a strategy that you've taught yourself. I want to share with you excerpts from a book that Robin Yale talks about the difference between the care partner's dynamics and those of the person diagnosed. And these are areas where I think not only as caregivers, but as a community, we need to focus on. The present rather than the long-term future. To include rather than exclude. To allow the person rather than take over. To not forget to pay attention to self-esteem and purpose. Bill taught me about purpose. Bill goes into Stop and Shop with his shopping list, or should I say his honey-do list. And he shared this story with me. He said, I walked into Stop and Shop and I froze. He used the word froze. He said they had rearranged everything the night before, and I had no idea what to do. Bill was diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's disease at the age of 56. And he said, I thought for a moment of going back to my car, but I realized my wife, Grace, was counting on me to do the grocery shopping, and I didn't want to let her down. She was still working full-time, and Bill shared that he felt bad enough that he already lost his job because of the disease, and shopping had given him purpose. So he didn't leave. He didn't go out to his car. He remembered that he told his friend Joe behind the deli counter about his diagnosis. And he went up to Joe and said, Joe, can you help me? I have no idea where anything is. So Joe helped him find a couple of items. And not only that, Joe introduced him to several other people throughout the store. And each one took Bill, and he successfully completed his shopping list. Why? because he wasn't afraid to talk about it. I believe as a community, and even as healthcare professionals, we need to educate and not be afraid to talk about it. I believe that will help us lessen the stigma, to help people live well with Alzheimer's disease as long as they can, and to always find purpose. So a few months ago, Tony called me on Helpline. Tony's 49, diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's disease. Had to retire because of the disease as a registered hospice nurse. And she called me and said, "Do you have a group?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And I felt so good answering that helpline call. Tony continues to find purpose by now looking forward to sitting down with people at the last days of their hospice journey. And she said, "You know what? When I practiced nursing, I never had time to do that, and now I have that time." Because she talked about it. So what's better than talking about it? How can we be more effective? How can we lessen the stigma of Alzheimer's disease? Well, our group, we decided to sing about it. The Alzheimer's Association partnered with Dr. Maureen Matthews and Beth Stiles, and we decided to create and compose and record a song. The song is titled "Life is Beautiful." The lyrics of the song talk about how life has changed, how people don't know what to say, but that I'm still here, I'm alive, and I care. It's called "Life is Beautiful" not because the disease is beautiful, but because life is beautiful when we remember them.
Life is beautiful. Look into my eyes. You'll see memories of golden summer skies. And though I may not remember things that used to be, life is beautiful when you remember me. Life is beautiful when you remember
It is my hope that you will always see the person before the disease, that you will remember their love and their strength. It is my hope that you will join people on this difficult journey of Alzheimer's disease to live well and find purpose. I know it's what Bill and the others in my group have asked for. Thank you.